Hello, everyone. Good evening, and ladies and gentlemen. We have some audience from East Coast and also some audience from West Coast as well, across different time zones. I am Yanshu Li. I'm the CIE SF officer today. We are Chinese Institute of Engineers in the San Francisco Bay Area. So welcome to our seminar talk today. I'm showing a media channel page here. So if you take a screenshot and follow one of the channels you use to follow our CIE. And today with me is our speaker, William Kao. He is he has camera on in the list, so you can see him. And also with me is Brian Pan, our president of CIE San Francisco, and Vice President Jonathan Chang. We also have Alliance for Impact as our partner today. A representative, Alison Zhao, is here with us, and also Meng Su, our CIE SF volunteer. Okay, so that's our step today. Yeah, like we said in the beginning, because we expect a large crowd today, so everybody is muted by default upon entry. There's no locking meeting, there's no waiting room, so you can enter the Zoom meeting without permission. Yeah, please check again your microphone setting, make sure it's muted now, because we will start the seminar today. So Chinese Institute of Engineers was founded by Zhan Tianyou and Lin Hongxun back in 1917 in Cornell University. What a long history of CIE. CIE celebrated its 100th anniversary in Bay Area in 2017, and also a 105th anniversary in 2022. Yay. And our San Francisco Bay Area chapter was established in 1979. And we also are celebrating a 43rd anniversary this year. I'm seeing 67 people in Zoom meeting. Great. And our SF Bay Area chapter has a object of serving the engineers and students in San Francisco Bay Area. Our mission is to promote technological advancement, networking, and communicating among engineers and scientists, and to promote the well-being of engineering community, as well as the broader STEM community. We have held many activities. We have held some meals and some lectures and technical seminars like the one today. And we encourage people to participate and share knowledge and share experience with us. I myself started to volunteer for CIE event like 4 or 5 years ago, and I started to know many nice people and nice friends through CIE SF. And under the SF Bay Area chapter, we currently have 5 technical groups, and the 2 groups who are holding this event today is Emerging Technology Group, ET, and the Electronic Design Technology Group, EDT, and Dr. William Kao is leading Emerging Technology Group, and he giving us a very exciting talk on Metaverse, which is the hottest keyword, one of the hottest keyword in currently. Since pandemic, we have moved all our events to virtual space through Zoom and through YouTube. But before the pandemic, we are hybrid mode, and we have both offline and online events. And we're hoping to bring back offline events so as soon as possible, so people can communicate face to face. And yeah, 2020 and 2021 is our virtual year. We expanded many virtual spaces like Zoom and YouTube, and also Gather. We have held many online webinars during this period of time. I'm showing here are the lectures and the videos we have held in the past. And I believe next page, we have our YouTube channel. So today's seminar is being recorded, and we will upload this video on our YouTube channel after some editing work. So if you're interested, definitely follow our channel and feel free to check our past events. Okay, today we have Alliance of Impact, our partner. Alliance of Impact is a nonprofit organization based in New York. The mission is to empower Asian Americans to participate and make a positive impact on all aspects of society through knowledge sharing, collaboration, and cross-cultural communication. At AFI, we emphasize the power of the impact and inspire others in our community to give back. And we take this philosophy and apply it to our activities. So here's a WeChat QR code. Feel free to take a screenshot. And I particularly like the motto here, the 3 words representing the philosophy of our Alliance for Impacts, which are bonding, bridging, and empowering. And here's the contact info of AFI. For audience who are close to their office in New York City, you might want to follow them and maybe join their events as well. So a little bit more about AFI is they're holding more than 200 online events per year, and there's a AFI Academy, and they have trained more than 3,000 Asian students covering all age groups. AFI also partner with other organizations like UA3, Community First Food Party, and up to 11,000 clients are served per week with food and PPEs. Okay, that's the background information about AFI. Like I said, there are multiple ways to follow AFI if you would like to. Okay, before I hand over the presentation to our speaker today, I will introduce him first. So Dr. William Kao received the BSEE and MSEE and the PhD degree from the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. He worked in semiconductor and electronic design automation industries for more than 30 years. He has held several senior and executive engineering management positions at TI, Xerox, and Cadence Design Systems. he has authored more than 40 technical papers on various journals and conferences. And he has developed software and IC design patents. He's also a adjunct professor at UCLA Electrical Engineering Department. He taught courses on computer-aided IC design. He's a senior member of IEEE, and he was one of the founding members of IEEE Circuits and Systems Silicon Valley chapter. He currently teaches clean technology and emerging technology courses at the University of California, Santa Cruz, Silicon Valley Extension. So he's a popular speaker and lecturer in CIE as well. I believe many of you also attended his earlier lecture on emerging technologies. And wow, there are so many fields and so many cliche words that I haven't heard of. Yeah, and after all, Dr. Cao is a technology watcher, learner, and teacher. So without further ado, let me hand over to Dr. William Cao for today's interesting, exciting topic. Dr. William Cao, please.
Okay, thank you, Yansu. Let me bring my slide up. Okay, I hope everyone can see the screen. Welcome to tonight's presentation on the metaverse. As Yansu briefly mentioned in his introduction, this is probably one of the hottest, if not the hottest topic. There's so much material all over the internet about the metaverse. So hopefully in the next hour, I'll be able to give you an overview of the whole metaverse. So if you have not heard the word, don't worry, because I'll start from square one, okay? So I'll present an overview of the metaverse, what it is, why right now is important, that means what are the companies who will be participating in the metaverse, and how does it work? Okay, this is the agenda for tonight's talk. I'll start by giving a brief introduction of why are we choosing this topic tonight. And then I'll cover the 5 W's and the 1 H. Every time I give a presentation, I focus on what is, for tonight, we're going to talk about what is the metaverse, why do we need the metaverse, and why is it right now hot now? How do we enter or participate in the metaverse? What areas the metaverse will have the most impact on? Who are the players? That means what are the companies that will be engaging the metaverse? And then the timeline, when, okay? And then I'll end up by giving a brief summary and conclusion. So let me start from the beginning. In October of last year, to be exact, October 28th, Mark Zuckerberg, the founder and CEO of Facebook, made an announcement that Facebook would be changing its name to Meta, okay? And he gave a couple of reasons why. He says that he hopes that everybody can identify his company as a metaverse company, and also that he wants to make sure that everybody knows what is the focus of the company, okay? So the metaverse, in his definition, will be a collection of both augmented reality and virtual reality. And you will that metaverse will be interacting with our current world or the real world, okay? So I'll be talking about our physical world and the metaverse, both in conjunction. So if you look at the past 100 years, every technical communication trend was always met initially with apprehension. So you're starting from the 1940s, the radio, and then later on the TV, and in the last 10, 15 years, the internet and social media. When they started, people did not understand what the technology was, and they were really not ready to adopt it, okay? But today, in our world today, can you imagine your life without your cell phone or the internet? So that's two examples that these are things that just started in the last 10, 15 years, within the last 10, 15 years. Before that, there was no cell phone. It was all your phone sitting on top of your table, right? And at that time, there was no internet, all the social media, everything is actually in the last 10 to 15 years. But today, we can no longer live without all this technology. So the reason why I'm talking about the metaverse tonight is that likewise, the metaverse, just like the internet and the cell phone, promises to be one with the most powerful technology developments. And it will be with us for the next 10 to 25 years. Not only that, but this technology will have impact on all aspects of our life, including our work, entertainment, communications, travel, gaming, and our day-to-day experience. So that's the reason why the talk for tonight is this is the subject that we're covering tonight. So let me start from the first square. What is the metaverse? So the first question people say is that if you're talking about the metaverse, let's define what is the metaverse and then give a little bit background about the history of the metaverse. So you see at the bottom of the slide, it says the metaverse, first of all, is a digital reality. What I mean by digital reality is that it's a reality that's virtual, okay? It's also digital. It's not necessarily physical. Physical is what we see surrounding us, okay? And most of you probably have heard also about, in some of my previous talks, I talk about the digital twin, okay? So you as a person, you exist, that's the physical being. And then alongside you, there's also a digital you, which has all the information related to you, okay? But that exists only in the data domain and in the virtual domain, okay? So now the other thing about the metaverse, we'll define it several ways so that at the end of the talk, we'll go over several passes of what is the metaverse. And hopefully at the end of the hour, you have a good understanding of what the metaverse is. The other thing is that the metaverse is a combination of AR, VR, MR, and so on. I don't know, hopefully most of you have been exposed to what augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality, okay? If not, please do ask me at the end of the talk, okay? I'll be able to explain some of those concepts quickly. So let's come back to the word metaverse. The word metaverse is made up of two parts, okay? The first part is meta, and then the second part is verse. Meta means beyond, okay? And verse, it stands for universe, okay? So that means that beyond our current universe. So if you think about our current world, our physical world, the planet that we live on, okay? And then alongside of it, there will be another universe, which is called the metaverse, okay? And they will coexist, okay? Now the metaverse, as opposed to the physical world that we live in today, is a virtual. That means that sometimes you cannot really touch it, okay? So you have to enter into that reality. I don't know where some of you read comics, but have you heard about the alternate universe? Okay, alternative universe. That means that there are two parallel worlds that they coexist. One of them is our current world that we live on today, And then the other one is another universe that coexists in parallel, okay? So you can also visualize the virtual universe as another universe that exists in parallel to our physical world, okay? There's also some other people who define the metaverse to be the next iteration of the internet. Now, everybody, I'm pretty sure everybody day in and day out uses the internet, right? Whereas to do a Google search or to find the GPS and find the websites and so on. So the metaverse, some people also define it as the next iteration of the internet. And this iteration is also a 3D. Instead of currently, we only live in the, everything we see is on a 2D surface, right? Because when we search and we look at things on a paper, that's a 2-dimensional. Well, the metaverse will be 3-dimensional. Okay. As I'll show you in some pictures in upcoming slides. Now, the other thing about this metaverse is that you can create and define or redefine yourself. For instance, if you don't like the way that you look today, you can create an avatar of yourself, and then that figure and icon which represents you, you can make it up. Okay, you can make it up, having, you can fly, for instance, in the metaverse. You can, the buildings can be turned around 180 degrees. So you can create something out of nothing, okay? And you can define what you want to be. So we'll go over all these concepts in the next few slides. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that when I was back in the days when I went to school, every time the teacher says, okay, do a paper on some subject, I will go to the library and dig up the encyclopedia. Okay, where's the Encyclopedia Britannica or the American Encyclopedia? Well, right now with the internet, the first thing that you want to find something new to you, you go to Wikipedia, right? Which is the encyclopedia that exists on the internet. And the way that they define the metaverse is at the bottom of the slide. The metaverse is a collective virtual shared space. Okay, so keep looking at the words. First of all, it's a virtual space. It's not a physical or real space. Okay, it's also a shared space. That means that we can all participate in it and share this metaverse. And it's created by the convergence. That means that everything coming together, the real world, the physical world, the virtual world, okay, AR, augmented reality, VR, virtual reality, and then there's right now even mixed reality, which is the combination of the two. And the other thing is that it's the unification of everything, both the real physical world and the virtual world, and hopefully all of the virtual worlds. So right now, for instance, today, if you go and play a game on the internet, okay, they have their own space and they define their own world, right? Hopefully in the metaverse, you can go and jump from one platform to another platform, and everything is still in the metaverse. Just like today, you have multiple websites on the internet, but you're still in the internet, okay? Now, the difference between the metaverse and the internet is that the internet, you are from the outside looking into the internet. In the metaverse, you'll be going into the metaverse itself and be inside, okay? And therefore, you need to have a representation of yourself. So for instance, I don't know how many of you probably use WeChat or some other thing where you define yourself, a symbol that represents you. Okay, it could be your face, or it could be like a flower that represents you. Okay, well, similarly in the metaverse, okay, I'm jumping a little bit ahead. So let me just follow the slide. So the metaverse is made up of virtual reality, augmented reality, the combination of the two, which is called mixed reality, gaming or entertainment, work, and also the concept of cryptocurrency. So everybody heard about Bitcoin and blockchain, right? So everything is encrypted. So that's called cryptocurrency. So all these are components that make up the metaverse. Okay, so let me go back half a step and redefine where does the term metaverse comes from. So back in 1992, there was an author called Neil Stephenson. Okay, he wrote a sci-fi book called Snow Crash. And inside this book, he was the first one to coin the word metaverse. Okay. And so this part here is the same thing that happened in the previous slide, which is the definition of the Wikipedia of what is the metaverse. But the interesting point is the following, is that when we, the people, I mentioned that we are going into inside the metaverse. And the way that we play inside the metaverse is that we're represented by avatars. Okay, so I'll define what is an avatar. Okay, so an avatar is a digital representation of yourself. It's an icon or figure that represents you. So here it could be like if you have a photo of yourself, and then this may be the avatar that represents this girl. Okay, now here on the right hand side, you see the avatar that represents Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, so I have the next slide. I have the physical Mark Zuckerberg, and he's pointing to his avatar. So avatar here is the icon. Whenever Zuckerberg enters into the metaverse, he will have this form, this form when he is inside the metaverse. Okay, so this icon or this figure, I think somebody has not muted. So anyway, so this is the picture of how Mark Zuckerberg looks inside the metaverse. All right, so you have the idea of an avatar. So let's go over some of the properties of the metaverse so we better understand what is the core and the form of the metaverse. So it has 5 principal characteristics. The first one is called the persistence. Okay, that means persistence means that it never goes away. Okay, so whenever you can go in, you can exit, and when you go in again, you don't need to restart. Everything is still continuous in a continuous mode. Not only that, but you can use different physical devices to access it. Okay, so for example, even today, I guess you use the cell phone, you use the pad, you have your computer, laptop, and so on. You can go into the internet via different devices. Okay, so the same thing with the metaverse. But the metaverse is that you don't go and sign in and sign out. You can go in and you'll pick up wherever you left off. Okay. The other characteristic of the metaverse is that it is real time. Okay, that means that today when you are in the physical world, let's say you are somewhere. Okay, then everything that when you go into the metaverse is the same time that you are in the real world. Okay, so as we will see later on, that means that a lot of technology has to be much more powerful in order to be able to handle the virtual world and the real world at the same time. Okay, you need to have location. You have to be able to interact between the real world and the virtual world. Okay, the other thing is that it has no limit in terms of the audience. For example, in the past couple of months, there has been like a musical concerts by Ariana Grande and Travis Scott, and they were performing in front of hundreds of thousands of people. So that's another differentiation. Is that right now in the physical world we are limited by the bandwidth. Okay, like for instance we're talking about 5G and so on, right? So the number of participants is limited. While in the metaverse, it can handle any size. Okay. So that means that the metaverse, of course, is not available today. It's just at the beginning. Okay, we'll get to that point later on. The third characteristic is availability. not only when it's available, it's live. That means that you can be participating and you can walk into the metaverse. Okay. So the size of the audience, there's no limit. That's why, you know, like in the past, when we had, for instance, 4G, whenever you are in a stadium, the capacity is limited because there's too many people trying to get into the internet. Okay. Well, when we go to 5G, that capacity is almost, you know, multiplied by 100 to 1,000 times. Well, the metaverse also has almost no limit. That means that if you want to go into a concert and listen to a concert, there are several 100,000 other people who can also participate. Not only that, but those people are not necessarily in the US. They could be all over the world. Okay. The fourth characteristic is that you can handle economy. That means that you can buy and sell things. You can also have currency in the metaverse for you to do transactions, business transactions or retail transactions. And then the other thing is the interoperability. So think about today at the beginning of the metaverse, you know, every company is coming out with their version of it. Okay. Well, in the long run, the metaverse should be only one. So there are going to be interaction between different platforms. Let's say today, if you buy the Xbox and one game from Sony versus one game from another company, they don't interact because they are not interoperable. Okay, they have different standards. Okay, well, in the metaverse, everybody will become the same. It's almost like if you want to go into the internet where you're using your cell phone, you're using your laptop or your iPad, you can all go into the internet. Okay, and then you'll be able to the other thing that is the difference between the metaverse and what we have today is that all the different companies' products and so on, they will be able to interact with each other. But that's a little bit jumping a little bit ahead. So we'll get there. All right. So another important thing is that we're talking about the merging of the digital universe or the virtual world with the real world. So there's a real or physical world, which is where we exist. We all humans, who are born and where we grow up, we go to school, and then, you know, we work and so on. We work, we sleep, right? We eat. So that's the real physical world. There's another world where you don't do that, but also it complements you, okay? So there'll be a lot of data. For example, today, the simplest way to explain the digital world is that it is your cell phone. Because, for instance, in your cell phone, you have a lot of phone numbers, you have your bank account numbers, your friends, you know, email addresses, you know, their telephone numbers, all that. You don't necessarily have to go and remember all of that stuff. That means that you don't carry it in your own brain, your own physical brain, but you have a digital companion, okay, that today everybody walks around with their cell phone, right? So very few people, except myself, maybe, that I venture out sometimes without my cell phone. But most of the people that carry their cell phone wherever they go, okay. So the metaverse is also connected to the real world, okay. That's another thing that is characteristic. Not only that, but I mentioned the last word on this slide, it says is immersive. That means that you are going into the metaverse and then your avatar represents you in the metaverse, okay? But you're inside. When you're inside the metaverse, you see your surroundings. So if you attend a musical concert, you're viewing the singer singing, okay? You're inside the thing rather than you watching through your computer. Okay, so that's the difference. Okay, so these are some of the things that you can do inside the metaverse. So people say it's the next version of the internet. It's a 3D internet. Okay, so the avatar, by the way, is a three-dimensional thing. It's not just a picture, a photo of yourself. Photo is a two-dimensional. Okay, the avatar is actually in 3 dimensions. So it has a height, it has a, you know, you can be thin, you can be fat, you know, so it's a three-dimensional representation. So it's actually the metaverse in the future will also be like your social media. Everything will be inside the metaverse. It's the next iteration of the social media. You can also view it that way. And that's the reason why Facebook, which is represents today's social media, they want to go and be labeled as Meta because they want to go and jump into the next iteration. Okay. So you can do a lot of activities. You can work. You can work with your colleagues through the metaverse. Okay, that your colleagues, your office coworkers can be in another place, but they can all join from your own home, join the metaverse, and then work together and collaborate together. Okay. So these are a list of some of the things that you can do in the metaverse. First of all, think about the metaverse as as a separate, distinct world. So first of all, in order for the metaverse to exist, you have to create some of the elements inside that new world. Okay. So you can create digital assets. Digital assets are also a virtual thing. Okay. For instance, you can draw a picture. Well, that picture does not exist in the real world, but does exist in the metaverse. You can also buy a piece of land. You can, a lot of gaming companies are already selling property of New York City in their metaverse. They say, okay, well, if you want to buy a property piece of land next to Central Park, okay, well, you go and have to pay in their currency, in the metaverse currency, you pay for that piece of land. Guess what? The next time if somebody says, okay, I have a artist who wants to perform a concert, I said, well, I need a location to perform my concert. So they may need to rent your space because you already bought that piece of land, and then they can rent your space to hold the concert. Okay, so you can create something new in the metaverse. You can buy and sell things in the metaverse. Okay, you can create the avatar you created. If you want to create the meta in your avatar to be like Superman, and you can say, okay, I can fly in my metaverse, you can do all of that. Okay, I know that it sounds a little bit far-fetched, but we're at the beginning. Okay, so let's move into the next block, which is a why. How did everything lead to the metaverse? What are the causes that lead to the metaverse? What are the impacts of the metaverse? And why is it happening now? Okay, so this is the why. So in the last year and a half and 2 years, you know, everybody has been exposed to the COVID. So a lot of people working from home for the past year and a half. Okay, so more like everything is working at home, and then you cannot travel because you know you have quarantine. So everything is done virtually. Okay, so if you want to go and have a tour, well, sorry, but you cannot go on the physical cruise because all the ports are closed. Okay, so technology is changing very rapidly. Okay, like for instance, all the AR, VR, everything is moving very fast. Blockchain, okay, all these new technologies are moving. Okay, and there's more and more things that can be done in the virtual world. Okay, like VR. So the other thing that you can say, when did this thing started, or why is it important now? Okay. Again, I point out to the milestone that happened in October of last year, is that Mark Zuckerberg's announcement of the Facebook company name change. That was one of the significant milestones for the metaverse era. Okay. The other thing is that COVID-19 has accelerated this a little bit because now people cannot go to the office, at least for the year 2020 and the first half of 2021. People could not go to the office. Later on, if you go, you have to go wear masks. Okay, you have to get vaccinated, right? So that also has accelerated the progress. Okay, there's been a lot of advances in the internet. Blockchain is another technology that is related to cryptocurrencies, and everything is encoded, right? And it's also decentralized. So that's blockchain technology and virtual reality. There are more and more games, and there are more and more capabilities going into virtual reality. So the progress that has been made along many fronts have all contributed toward the enabling the metaverse. So we mentioned the where. Okay, so I mentioned the 5 W's. One of them is where. Where here in this context of the metaverse is that where will the metaverse have the most impact? I mentioned at the beginning that the metaverse is actually affecting all aspects of life, where it's work, where it's fun, entertainment, it's travel, and so on. Okay, retail, commerce. So I'm going to just quickly mention some of the most important sectors where the metaverse will be having a very strong impact. One is work. I mentioned that now you don't necessarily have to go and work in the office. Okay, you can, right now you do it via Zoom and so on. Well, the next thing you'll probably do it with the metaverse, which will be even more powerful. So instead of people, they'll be able to see your avatar, okay? And then your avatar and their avatar will be interacting in the office, okay? And then you can also be physically there. You can talk to them and so on, okay? You can also have new forms of collaboration between your coworkers, okay? There are sort of like phrase that summarizes everything. Why is it affecting work? Because think about it. The metaverse is another world that will exist, a brand new world. Well, whenever you have a new world, you have to build it, okay? So that means that there are going to be tons of new jobs. In order to build the metaverse, you require a lot of people doing new jobs and new work, okay? There will be new artists. There will be new people for instance, right now with the internet, every company has a website, right? Well, when the metaverse comes about, every company, every outfit will have the metaverse version of their company, okay? So you will create a lot of new jobs that do not exist today. Okay, the retail. So the retail is that there are a lot of companies who are already setting up shop in the metaverse. They say, well, let's get started quickly before everybody jumps in, okay? So companies like Samsung, Amazon, Walmart, Nike, Netflix, they're already having staff working on their version of the metaverse, okay? So imagine that you don't have to go to the internet and buy things on Amazon.com, but you'll be actually going to an Amazon mall, and then you'll be able to see three-dimensional views of the objects that you want to buy, okay? Nike is coming out with the virtual shoes, and they say, well, we want to expand beyond just shoes. So how about clothing? Okay, think about this way. If you have an avatar, everybody has an avatar, right, that represents you. Well, those avatars also require clothing, okay? Everything that we need in our physical world, in the metaverse, they also require that. So the avatars will also need to wear shoes. The avatars will also need to wear hats and new clothing, okay? And maybe running shoes, okay? So all of that is all has to be created from scratch, okay? Now Netflix, today you can watch a movie on Netflix, but Netflix is also trying to open up a theater in the metaverse. So you and your friends can say, okay, let's go to watch this movie. But instead of going to the movie theater, you will go into the metaverse and together watch a movie in the metaverse. So the entertainment, the gaming industry, because they actually got a head start because there are a lot of games that are wearing the VR headsets. Okay, all of those are already in the metaverse in a sense. Okay, because they are already in the VR world. So you wear your headset and you jump into that game, right? Okay, so all the games will be more and more immersive, and also in the future, we'll talk at the end of the talk. The future of the metaverse is that hopefully all the things will converge into one universe. Okay, so like games from Sony, games from Xbox, and from different game companies, they all be able to interact, and your avatar will be able to go from one game to another game, from one platform to another platform, from one shopping mall to another shopping mall. You can go and visit the Amazon shop, then you can go to the Nike shop, right? And then after all of that stuff, you can go and watch a movie with your friends. Okay, the tourism. So with the metaverse, you in essence can separate yourself, your conscious from your physical body, because you are being represented by your avatar. Okay, and let's say you want to go and visit a place that you haven't been. Let's say you want to go to see the Himalayas. Well, your physical self cannot climb up to that altitude, or because you're going to lack oxygen. Okay, but guess what? In the metaverse, you'll be able to go to the top of the Himalayas. Okay, so you can go anywhere. Okay, because physically you're not there. Your body is not on top of Himalayas, but you can climb up to the top and you can see all the surroundings. And so your avatar will represent you over there. But you'll experience that feeling that you are there. Okay, let me see how am I doing. Okay, I'm doing okay. 8 core categories. So let me just get into it, because this is a technical talk. So besides just talking about things in space, let's go over and talk a little bit about the technical side of the metaverse. Okay, so the metaverse consists of 8 core sectors. Okay, the hardware, the computational, the networking, virtual platforms. You have a lot of importance placed onto interchange tools and standards, because you want to be able to share and go from one platform to the next. So they have to be interoperable, and they have to have, so the only way to make it interoperable is that you have to follow standards. Okay, you also can buy and sell things. So you have a currency. So you have to be able to perform payment services. Okay, you have also other things like contents that you want to buy a piece of land. So you can buy and sell pieces of land. You can buy and sell, let's say you create a painting in the metaverse and you want to sell it. Okay, so you can have an auction house that provides a service to sell the painting that you just painted in the metaverse. Okay, so let's quickly go over that hardware. Right now, everybody's like, if you're already into the gaming, the VR games, everybody's familiar with the hardware, like VR headsets, right? That you have to wear, and then basically you wear a sort of like a goggle, and then you shield yourself from your real world, okay? Because you are immersed into the headset. So today is headsets, mobile phones, and haptic gloves. Those are gloves that allow you to have the feeling of touch, okay? And some of those are at the personal level, some of them are the company business level, which is enterprise. Okay. The other thing is that in order for everything to work, the speed of the network has to be enhanced quite a bit. Okay. So the networking, in order to support the metaverse, will be much faster. You have to go at least 5G. Okay. So 5G for the next 10 years, and then later on we'll go into 6G. Okay. So because right now you're jumping between your real world and the virtual world. So you need to know where you are. Okay, you need to use GPS, you need to use 5G and a lot of other things. Okay. Okay. The computational power will also have to be enhanced. So we will not be there tomorrow. Okay. As a matter of fact, the timeline for the metaverse is very similar to the timeline of 5G. You know that 5G goes from 2020 to 2030, okay? It will probably take 7 to 10 years for the metaverse to form, to be able to populate the metaverse. That's the new world, okay? That has to be built, okay? But in order for that to be able to support all the things that they want to do, the compute power has to be enhanced. You may need to use even quantum computing to make sure that you are dealing with the real time. Okay. The virtual platforms also, they have to be interchangeable. Okay. When you are existing in your physical world and you jump into the digital world, you have to go in and be able to go in and go out. Okay. So a lot of things, they are not there yet. Okay. We'll talk about where we are later on. Okay. As I mentioned, in order to have things compatible, like for example, I know most of you have heard about smart home. So in a smart home, let's say you have a refrigerator, you have a toaster, you have a microwave, you have a washer and dryer and so on. Well, for everything to operate with your cell phone and be able to interact with each other, everything has to be plugged into a common set of electricity. And you will be able to go from your phone to your refrigerator. Okay. So unless the tools and the services are interoperable, that means that they have to go and share some standards for them to operate. Okay. The last one is related to the economy that I already talked about. Be able to buy and sell things. Okay. That's using currencies that exist in the metaverse. They could be, cryptocurrencies, they could be Bitcoin, they could be their own version of the metaverse currency. Okay. So there will be a lot of new assets. So imagine where you see today. If you go to a museum, you see a painting. Okay, well, you can create a lot of new paintings in the metaverse. All those paintings and things. Okay? Remember the Internet of Things? Well, those exist in the physical world. So similar in the metaverse, there will be digital things or virtual things. Okay. So there will be things and there will be services. Like let's say you create a painting and then you ask somebody to sell it for you. That's a service. Okay. The new painting, the metaverse that you drew up, that could be your digital asset. That's something that belongs to you. Okay. So you can imagine that with not only with the existence of a new virtual world, but having the virtual world talk to the real physical world, a lot of our behaviors will also require calibration, and they have to be changed and modified. Okay. Okay. So this is the how-to. How do people participate into this metaverse or this virtual world? Okay. So it's actually done in 3 stages. The first stage is where we are today. Today, this is where we are. Everybody's wearing a headset. And then if you want to get a feeling about what's happening, let's say you're playing a game and you have to use your hand, do something, okay? You use the head-mounted display and then you have hand controllers, okay? So right now, that's involving only your audio and video. What you see inside the headset is a video. Okay, and then you hear something, that's audio. Okay, and a little bit of some action. So maybe a little bit like touch, but it's not, it's only, I would say the first stage is only about 50% towards full immersion. Second stage is that when you actually involve the touch. So instead of just wearing the gloves, you're wearing a suit. Okay, so your whole body feels like you are in the virtual world. Okay, so it's not only your hand. Right now, the first phase is that you're just playing with your hands. So that's gaming. Okay, you're firing a gun and things like that. But when you're going to stage 2, you'll be wearing a bodysuit that allows you the rest of your body to also feel like you're inside the world. So that may get you to 80% of immersion. All right. The last stage is what we call advanced VR. And this advanced VR will involve a new technology called neurotechnology. Okay. That means that a lot of your senses will go into and out of your brain directly without having another intermediate interface. Like right now, we're using the keyboard, we're using the voice to tell, the Siri and so on to do something. Okay, well, in the last stage, everything is done directly through the brain. Okay, your thought will be able to directly communicate with the things. Also, whatever you feel will be passed on to your brain directly. So what does that mean? That means that actually you can separate your consciousness, your brain activities from your physical body. So let's say you go and experience the sensation if you're top of the Himalayas. Well, you can feel the cold, you can feel, all the stuff, short of breath and all the stuff, but you're not there. But you can get the feeling, just like VR games, like you're jumping off the plane. You're not really jumping off the plane and plunging into Earth, but you can feel what does it feel to be in that situation, okay? So I know some of you may feel, say, well, this is a little bit, out of this world, but, as I said, this is a new stuff, okay? Okay, so now let's talk about who are the players. What are the companies who are already jumping? We already mentioned in one of the previous slides, there are a lot of retail companies like Amazon and Walmart and Netflix and the Nike and so on. They're already getting involved. Okay, so let's jump into who are the people getting into the metaverse. So this is a very interesting slide. So for people who are into investing, you probably know what the ETF is, right? It's an exchange trade fund. Okay. So guess what? There's already a ETF for the metaverse. And this slide is interesting because this is some of the companies inside that portfolio for the metaverse ETF. So if you look at the name of the companies who are in that ETF, Nvidia, Microsoft, Roblox, Facebook, Unity, Snap, Autodesk, Amazon, Tencent, and Sea Limited. Okay, so you have some of the Chinese companies, you have the big companies like Amazon, Facebook, and Microsoft, Nvidia. You also some game companies like Unity, and then you have some, other office type of companies, Autodesk, and so on. So anyway, this leads into the next slide. What are the top 5 companies that are into the arm race, the metaverse arm race? So these are all the big companies, okay? Facebook, whose name just changed to Meta, okay? You have Google, Amazon, Microsoft. Now, I don't think there's any of you that do not know these companies. The top 5 who are already getting, so all the heavyweights are already jumping into the metaverse, okay? Now, this slide also shows some smaller companies. Okay, Nvidia maybe it's not as big as Apple and Facebook, okay, but Nvidia is also a very large company, right? And then you have gaming companies like Roblox and Fortnite and Unity, okay? They are all into it. So we'll go over some of how these companies are getting involved into the metaverse. So let's start with the largest one, Facebook, because of the announcement that Mark Zuckerberg just made in October of 2021. So Facebook's involvement is that way back in 2014, Facebook already acquired a company called Oculus. And in 2019, they released the Oculus Quest, okay? The goggle, the VR goggle, okay? And also they actually plan to expand their workforce. They plan to hire in the next 5 years, they plan to hire 10,000 people in Europe to work on the metaverse. Okay, and the last milestone is that in October, they announced the name change, okay? So metaverse, because they had already acquired Oculus for many years. Also inside Facebook, their division that's working on the metaverse is called Reality Labs, okay? So right now, there are thousands and thousands of engineers inside Facebook who are working on the metaverse tools, okay? So currently it represents about 20% of their workforce, okay? So that means that Facebook is very heavily committed to this metaverse. Microsoft, of course, everybody knows Microsoft because of their Office suite, right? So they have a lot of tools from PowerPoint to Word and Excel and so on. Well, they also jump into what they call the Enterprise Metaverse. That means the business version of the metaverse. Okay, so they want to create or enable remote working. So right now, you know, that all their tool suite is for work. Okay, for, you know, like Word and PowerPoint and all stuff. So they want to expand into the metaverse and enable that, so that, because right now we're saying that the trend is to work more, starting work remotely. Okay, I'll have to take a look at my watch, make sure that I'm on track in terms of time. Okay, so everybody knows that Microsoft has a lot of tools, so I'm going to just quickly jump over. So here, this one slide that shows how Microsoft has invested into the metaverse. Okay, way back in 2014, they acquired a game company called Minecraft. There's a game called Minecraft. Also recently, he bought some more publishing companies, you know, ZeniMax in 2020, and also they bought another company called Activision, also in publishing in 2022. Okay, so this just shows you Microsoft's involvement into the metaverse. Okay, another company that is very familiar to most of you locally is Nvidia. Okay, so Nvidia Corporation, Nvidia is well known for their graphics chipsets, right? Because they do a lot of graphics chips in terms of the instead of CPUs. Their strength is on the graphics chipsets. So AI, for instance, AI chips, you know, a lot of them are from Nvidia. Well, they plan to also get into the metaverse by providing the infrastructure and platform. So their entry is called Omniverse. Okay, just like you know, their version of the metaverse is called Omniverse. Omni meaning all directions. Okay, so they have created a language to be able to use called USD. Okay, Universal Scene Description, and they have a database and also a language that everybody can use their platform. What they're trying to do is that they're trying to become the platform for other companies to participate in the metaverse. So this is some of their tool suite. So Omniverse Create, that allows you to create things. Omniverse View, that allows you to view and display items. And also the Omniverse Machinima. Okay, so handles data and so on. Okay, so this is just some of the toolsets from NVIDIA. So what they are trying to do in this, just very quickly to go over, is that they want to provide nucleus servers. That means that things to deposit and handle the data. Okay, so they use servers. And they also try to connect things. So they have this called connectors program that allows you to connect one platform to another platform and to integrate those things. And then last one is the application, like I already mentioned and show you the Omni Create and Omni View, okay, and Machinima, okay. So Apple, okay, Apple's entry into the metaverse is a little bit different than Facebook, okay. They are not really starting from the VR world, but they're actually starting from the AR world, okay. So what they're doing is that you know, they don't use the headset, because everybody knows that one of the problems with the VR world is that the headsets that exist today very often cause motion sickness. Okay, you may feel like, you know, dizzy and so on. So no, people cannot wear it for a long time. Okay, so Apple's entry has been more from the AR side, more from the augmented reality rather than from the VR side. I think somebody has not muted. Okay, so here are some of the companies that Apple has acquired. Konya Holographics, a US-based company. It has bought some company from Germany called Meta.io, and also some company from Israel called PrimeSense. Okay, so these are not that important. This just shows you, these are the facts behind the thing that I'm presenting. So it shows you the reality that, yeah, these companies are engaging and they are buying companies out in order to participate in the metaverse. Okay, so I mentioned that, so this is another company, facial recognition company that Apple bought. Okay, So Next VR is another company, virtual reality company that Apple bought. But as I mentioned, Apple is actually approaching the metaverse coming from a different direction. They are coming from the augmented reality direction. That means that you still are, your foot is still on the real world, okay? The AR versus VR is the AR, you're still standing on the real world. And then you're using your cell phone or your camera to help you. That's the augmented reality, okay? Rather than VR. VR is the well-known because of the headset that you have to be immersed into it. So you cannot see what really is around you. Roblox, so what I'm going to do is just going to speed up. So I'm not going to talk about, except there's another company that went IPO. Okay, Roblox is more like a gaming company. They went IPO in 2021. So these are the two major announcements related to the metaverse. One is that Roblox went to IPO and they actually have already almost $30 billion valuation, okay, out of nothing, okay, just to show you, okay. And this slide, it just shows you there are so many companies. So because think about it, you're creating a new universe, a new world, okay? So you have infrastructure companies, you have creator companies, you have display companies, you have AR and VR companies, okay? Mixed reality companies, you have companies that sell you glasses and other things that you can use in the metaverse. So this just shows you, besides the big five or, you know, middle seven, there's probably tons of other companies. Okay, so let's go. I have right now it's a 7:10. Okay, so I need to finish definitely by 7:15 to between 7:15 and 7:20. So allow you some questions. Okay, so what are some of the challenges and concerns? Okay, this is the first one. You know, right now the whole metaverse is just at the beginning. So guess what happened after the name change? On February of this year, February 3rd of this year, Meta, or the previous Facebook, their stock dropped by 26% in one single day on February 3rd of this year. So this is all recent material. Everything that I present is probably new, okay? So in one day, they lost 26%. That represents $230 billion that they lost in one day, okay? Think about it, okay? So another thing that is challenged, the metaverse, just like any new technology, this is something that I presented in every technology presentation that I've shown, is that all technologies are a double-edged sword, okay? On one side, it provides you with a lot of benefits. And if you are early entry, you can, you know, collect a lot of things because, you know, the first bird that comes there, it catches the worm, right? So if you come in later, people may already get a head start ahead of you. Okay, so one thing about this double-edged sword, I will just expand it here. So these are the dangers of the metaverse. So we mentioned at the beginning there are two worlds, the real physical world and the virtual world. But don't forget that everything is a net zero sum game. So the more time you spend in the virtual world, the less time you have to spend in the physical world, okay? And guess what? If you think, well, in the metaverse, I can be as pretty or as handsome as I want, and I can fly, and I can be Superman. Well, people think, well, in that case, why do I want to come back to the real world, okay? So you start spending too much time in the alternative world, okay? So that may affect you, your family life, you know, affect your physical world, you know, all your friends, your family, you know, you have less time to spend with them, okay? The other thing is that if your avatar can be very handsome and very slim, you don't even need to spend time doing, like in the real world, you have to do exercise in order to stay fit, okay? But the other thing is that this also is a double-edged sword. So the metaverse may create also mental health problems, okay? So think about it. When the virtual world is so much better than the real world, then people will tend to escape. Okay, sort of like escape route. Say, well, if I like my avatar so well because the avatar can fly and can be handsome or can be pretty and so on, can be intelligent, all the stuff that maybe in your real world you are not as good, but in the virtual world you can make it so that it's good and it's perfect, okay? But keep in mind always, everything has to be done in moderation, because the more time you spend in the virtual world, then the less time you spend dealing with the problems in your real world, okay? The metaverse should not be and cannot be a substitute to the real world. So I emphasize this is in every presentation that I make. There's also some philosophical lessons in my talks, okay? So between the real world and the virtual world, remember one word, balance. The other word is moderation. Okay, so this is already the last segment, conclusion. So what are some of the key takeaways? Okay, and we'll talk about a little bit about the current status of the metaverse versus the future of the metaverse, and then the final message. So just the last few slides. So the metaverse is a virtual world, okay, that will usher in the next phase of the internet. Okay, so we have to go and be part of it. We cannot say, oh, well, I don't want to participate. Okay, so just like today, you are logging into the internet, right? So it's not I say, well, I want to just stay out of it. Now, the metaverse has huge implication. It comes with a lot of advantages, okay, because you can do a lot of things and almost anything in the virtual world. But also it comes with a lot of terrifying dangers, okay? So this is what it meant by double-edged sword, okay? So today, the status of the metaverse today is just starting. You know, we can say that the metaverse era just started in October of last year, okay? And it's going to take, you know, probably close to 10 years. So that's why I say the time frame of the metaverse pretty much jives with the timeline of 5G, okay? Between 2020 or 2021 and 2030, there's a lot of things will be happening, okay? And the other thing is that by the end of it, that's metaverse today, is that everything is disconnected, okay? You know, every company has their own version of the metaverse and so on. Well, but later on, hopefully all will become one. So right now today, there's only one internet, okay? There are many websites, but there's only one internet, right? Okay, the metaverse will also be unified, okay? And then they will be interacting and playing with each other, okay? So there's a convergence, more and more convergence between the physical world that we live in and the virtual world that also coexist with the physical world. Okay, so the metaverse, the next one is going to be a big change. It's going to be another revolution. Okay, it's sort of like an internet 2.0 or 3.0. So it's going to be, there's going to be more, this is all a general trend. The new era of the metaverse. And there's going to be a fusion of the physical world and the virtual world. But not everything is perfect. So we also have a lot of concerns. For instance, you know, there's going to be also the bad side effects, you know, ethical considerations, you know, moral considerations, a lot of things. We have to make sure that there's also law in the new world. Not everything is chaos, okay? So the metaverse will redefine the digital space. And so from the organization, from the business sense, you have to keep up. You cannot fall behind. You cannot let the Facebook or metaverse go ahead and Microsoft go ahead and you are still sitting there and then you lost your market share. Okay, so this is the last slide. I'm perfect on time. 7:15 right now, okay? So this is my summary and conclusion slide. So we are entering the metaverse era. The beginning of that era actually just started only end of last year, October. So we're just at the beginning, or we're only into the less than 1 year into the metaverse. Although the other companies have already been working, like buying Oculus and VR and AR and all that stuff. But actually nothing has really started until almost last year, okay? So everything is pretty new. Now, the new metaverse is going to be very fascinating because you can do a lot of things in the new universe, okay? But also because we're at the beginning, it's also very confusing. Okay, so for the next couple years, we'll all be navigating through the fog because we are going to be seeing a lot of changes. And we're going to say, oh, I didn't interpret or didn't learn that thing correctly. So you have to go and calibrate and keep adapting, okay? Now, in terms of the timeline, I said that it's going to take at least 5 to 10 years to evolve. It's not something that exists today, but it has started. Okay, so you take that into consideration. It has started. You yourself determine when you want to jump in. Okay. The other thing is that the metaverse will not solve all our problems. So don't think that the metaverse is your escape. Okay. Don't think and say, well, let me just jump into the metaverse and then just leave the physical world, because you still have to eat. If your body does not work, you won't be able to survive in the metaverse either, because you have to physically exist. If you are dead, you're not into the metaverse. You're not nowhere. Okay. So metaverse will not solve all our problems. Not only that, it will create many new problems. As a matter of fact, the way I predict it is that as the gap between the virtual world and the physical world increases, that means that the virtual world gets better and better, and it's so good that our physical world, you look at our physical world today, uncertainty in Asia and in China and between countries and between Democrat and Republic and so on stuff. You say, well, maybe I want to just escape into the metaverse. Okay, the metaverse is still not there yet, so that's another thing. It's just we're just at the beginning. So from the business standpoint, you definitely don't want to fall behind. Okay, a lot of companies already got a head start, and a lot of big companies already got a head start. So if you're into business, you want to explore what is in for you. What can you make out of it? Okay. At the personal level, okay, we had all the social media with us for at least the last 7 to 10 years. And different people are involved in different degrees. Like I do have a Facebook account. I do have a lot of the, Twitter account and so on, but I'm not really that into it myself. I'm speaking only for myself, but different people are involved into different degrees. So at the personal levels, you should learn about it, and then you yourself determine how much you want to get involved. Okay. But as I always end up my talks with some philosophical message, don't forget moderation. Everything in extreme is bad. Too much of the same thing is bad. Okay. So keep in mind moderation and also balance. Your life has to be in a balance. Just like I show the two things between the physical world and the virtual world, you're trying to make it balance. You want to tilt it one too much. Okay. So that is my talk. Thank you very much for your attention. Before I turn over to the floor back to Yansu, I just want to show you 2 quick slides. It will take only 1 second, okay? For the people who are really into this, I want to learn more. Here is my reference, and you can always either write me an email or ask Yansu. I'll share this slide with him. So for people who want to go and explore a little bit more beyond my introductory overview, is that you can look at the book where the concept of metaverse was introduced, called Snow Crash, 1992 book. There's a couple of very good primers meaning a lot of things are introductory that everybody can read and understand it. Okay, a 9-part primer on the metaverse by Matthew Ball. The Metaverse Explained. This is also a 4-part article by Loop Ventures. Okay, the metaverse games, you don't need to go and play it yourself, but you can go into YouTube and just get a feeling about what the companies that I mentioned in this talk, what their games look like. Okay, how you can buy pieces of land in New York in Decentraland, okay, and so on, or Sandbox. And also there's a movie that was made of the book, or I don't know where's the book, but actually there's a movie called Ready Player One. This is a recent movie, 2018. And inside that movie, there's a metaverse called Oasis. So if you want to look at it, and I mentioned for people who actually say, well, I want to figure out if I can invest in the metaverse, there's also a ETF that I mentioned earlier. And then you're already being exposed to all the companies who are playing the game, okay, or getting involved into that. My last slide is that this is going to be my next talk. There will be probably another talk in March. But my next talk is going to be about the subject about satellite internet. Okay. So in the last year, I given talk on 5G. Well, there are a lot of things that places on the planet Earth that you cannot reach because you are in the middle of desert, or you're in the middle of the ocean, or you don't have, you're living in a rural area. Well, the internet cannot reach you. Okay. So you need to rely on the satellites. And this is a technology, a space technology is one of the other hot topics right now. So with that, I'll pass on the floor back to Yan-Su.
Thank you, Dr. William Cao. What a fantastic and thrilling presentation. Thank you so much for taking us into a thrilling journey into metaverse. I myself played a couple of VR games, and
oh, great.
That's just small part of the whole metaverse. And I start to think there's so much and to explore in metaverse, and new technologies like 5G and high-speed computing and cryptocurrency, crypto technology. They're all leading to a new place called metaverse.
Exactly. You need all of them. You need blockchain. You need 5G. You need edge computing. You know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Then thank you, and let's take a very short break while I'm talking.
Okay.
And I will start to show a slide about a thank you slide.
Okay, yeah, if you have also some WeChat questions, I'll be glad to entertain them.
Yes, we will get to the questions in 1 second.
All right.
So before that, let me start from this slides. Before that, yeah, we have prepared a certificate for Dr. William Cao for giving today's talk. So thank you, Dr. William Cao. I will also thank our partner today, AFI, Alliance for Impact. So Meng, please take a screenshot now, including the certificate and our headshots. Maybe next time.
Thank you very much, Yan-Su. Thank you very much. Certificate.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe next time you can give us talk in metaverse, right? Everybody wears VR helmet, and
I'll have my avatar presented.
Yes, yeah. Wow, that'll be wonderful. And okay, yes, I do see there's a lot of questions, and also thank you comments to you, Dr. William Cao. I promise this will be one of the last slides. Here again, I have our QR codes for different media channels. Please save them. Please sign up our newsletter for future talks, and please follow AFI, our partner today as well. And now it's our turn for attending the QA session. So I will
Yan-Su, because I see a lot of chat mail. Maybe I'll have you determine the priority. Which questions you would like to me to answer first? Right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, sure, no problem. Okay, I'm scrolling up and trying to find the very first question. Here, somebody asked, like our current internet was built on top of some standards like HTML, HTTP, URL, etc. The question is, will there be something similar standard for content format, communication, identification in Metaverse?
The answer, it has to be. It has to be. So for everything to interplay among the different vendors or all the different participants that want to play in the Metaverse, just like any IEEE section in the past, you have to define some interoperability standards and tools so that everybody uses the same standards and tools. So a tool can talk to another tool and platform can talk to another platform. So I'm pretty sure that there will be even maybe an IEEE section that will start worrying about standards and tools. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next question is, will there be universal Metaverse laws to govern people's behavior in Metaverse?
Excellent question. I think I mentioned briefly about some of the concerns that we have about the Metaverse is that just like in the physical world, we live in a society with laws, right? You cannot go and drive under the influence of alcohol or whatever. You have to wear your seatbelt, things like that. So the same thing, the Metaverse, in order for order to exist and everything, it does not, you have to have laws and regulations, okay? Another example that I have given in the past is that when the drone technology, you allow drones to fly over your neighbor's property and you have a camera and so on, there has to be laws. Because so right now today, the drone laws, for example, prohibit drones to fly near the airport, or they prohibit drones to fly near a fire because they may tamper with the communications of the firefighters. So the same thing applies to the Metaverse. You have to have some sort of regulation body that says what is allowed and what is not allowed. Okay, so you cannot commit crimes, right? Or you cannot defraud people. So those are still going to be penalized. I don't know about, if not in the Metaverse, you'll be going to jail in the real world if you violate some laws, right?
Okay, what is the financial interaction between entities in the VR world and reality, parentheses, traditional finance?
Okay, so this is more a subject that I've covered a little bit more extensively in my talk about cryptocurrencies. So you know that way back about 10 years ago, the Bitcoin started, okay? And then at that time, people say, well, what's the Bitcoin for? You know, and how does Bitcoin translate into dollars? Well, right now, Bitcoin, for example, it has actually a market value. You can actually, you have to pay, I don't know right now, because I'm not following the value of Bitcoin, but there's a correlation between the value of a cryptocurrency and the real dollar, okay? So in the future, there's going to be also a correlation between the value of a currency in the virtual world versus the dollar amount in the physical world. So there was one example where one of the companies that I mentioned, I think they auctioned off a purse, and it sold for $44,500 in some currency, in the Metaverse currency. I think that was under Roblox. I'm pretty sure that there's going to be some translation or mapping between the Metaverse currency and the physical world currency. But so, you know, right now, for example, you can go into the website and say, what's the value between the Chinese yuan and the dollar, right? So I'm pretty sure in the future, some point in the future, there will be, you have a conversion table between the real world and the virtual world. But right now it's a little bit early. Right now it's a little bit early to tell because right now it has not consolidated yet. So different companies, they have different currencies. Just like right now, cryptocurrencies, there's so many coins, Bitcoin and this coin, there's so many coins. Every one has different value. So hopefully, you know, that's the as far as answer I can give today because we're not there yet. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Next question is related to all platforms' connectivity to one metaverse. So the question is, can only one avatar exist in whole metaverse, or can multiple metaverse exist?
Okay, so remember in one of my last slides, I say, what's the metaverse today and what's the metaverse of the future? In the future, we hope to, just like we have only one internet, okay? We have a lot of websites. We have the website for Amazon, we have the website for a game company, okay? But we have only one internet. So in the future, the metaverse hopefully will be the same, okay? But you have different platforms, okay? So the different platforms of the metaverse will be equivalent to the different websites of the internet today. I don't know, maybe I think I draw the analogy, okay? So hopefully in the future, there's only one world. Okay, so right now we're already talking about our physical real planet Earth. And then we have talking about the metaverse, which is another world that exists in the virtual world. Hopefully they're not like a constellation of planets, okay, in the virtual world. There will be only one. Okay, so everything will try to throw everything into one. So you can have shoe store companies, you can have real estate companies, you can have banks, but hopefully it all exists into one metaverse. One metaverse being one virtual world. Okay, it's a one world. Everything is inside one, rather than we have like a constellation of planets. That's going to be really confusing. Okay, so that's the goal. As I said, we are at the beginning. We're just at the starting point, and we know what the end goal is. Hopefully, all the companies are working toward the same goal.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, the shift to metaverse will be hard for the aged people to adapt to. What would be your suggestion to them?
Well, that actually applies to me. I don't know where you know me, but I'm over 70. So right now I'm well, the only thing that is saving myself is that I'm very interested in the new technology. So I try to keep up with everything new. Okay, but everybody's different, and the person who posed the question is absolutely correct. For people who are over let's say over 60, okay, people who are over 60, I think given that the number one priority is our health, okay? Because as I said, if you are dead, it doesn't matter what metaverse or not metaverse, okay? Nothing exists, okay? So you still have to survive in the physical world, okay? And it is posing a lot of challenges for the older people to learn more and more about the new technologies, because the new technologies, they are moving so fast. For instance, I use my own personal example. I go and visit my grandchildren, and they're playing games. And I know that, for instance, my own eye and hand coordination cannot match theirs, because they can move so fast. Their eye's there and their hand is there, okay? It's immediately there. Well, for people who are a little bit older, you cannot match that. But that's just part of life. So on one hand, it is going to be a challenge, but don't get too disappointed, because the point is that everything is fair. Even the young people today, one day they will be old too. so let's not be too pessimistic, okay? So we just need to adjust as much as we can. And the degree of your participation in the metaverse is up to you. Whether you have a Facebook account doesn't mean that you put in a picture every day on Facebook, okay? So it's really up to you. We have to live in the physical world because we have to worry about our body. But how much you get involved into the metaverse is like today. How much time do you spend in social media? It's the same question.
Okay, thank you. Next question is a long one. Is it possible that metaverse will attract some people but not others? Like half of the society will like it and use it, and the other half won't? I noticed some people are now all zoomed out, and others continue to enjoy using it? Or will Metaverse be so good that people won't get Metaverse fatigue in the same way they get Zoom fatigue?
Okay, the answer is yes. This is something that it happens in our real world. Everything has two parts. Just like right now in the US, some people say, I'm going to get vaccinated. And some people say, I won't get vaccinated, okay? So the same thing exists for everything under planet Earth. There are some people that will like it, okay, and take advantage of it. Like for instance, right now, if you look at the example of the online commerce, okay, before everybody went to the mall to shop, right? Right now, all those companies like JCPenney, like Sears and so on, they're all going bankrupt because nobody goes to shop anymore. They go and buy things on Amazon, okay? So the point is that in terms of personal taste, there are always going to some people who like it and some people who will not like it, okay? Like right now today, I still go and shop at Walmart. So I buy some stuff from Amazon, but I also go to Walmart. So everybody's different. We cannot say that our liking is the same as everybody else's. So there's going to be people who like it, some people who don't like it. Okay. So the point is that it's up to us to make our own decision. Okay. Nobody's going to force us to say you have to go and buy things from Amazon. You can go to Walmart and buy things from a mortar and brick store, or you can buy it online, okay? So the same thing with the metaverse. If you are familiar and you like it, and some people, more for the young people will probably invariably get on it because they will find a lot of opportunities in the metaverse because it's a brand new world. You can create so many new things in the new world. You can build a new building in the metaverse, okay? Because you're just building from scratch. The new world it's just not there yet. So you have to build it. So there are a lot of economic opportunities for the young people. For the people who are retired, it's up to you whether you want to participate or not. You can say, well, I can live the rest of my life in peace and I have enough money. I don't need to worry about doing commerce on Metaverse, okay? So everybody's case is different. I guess that's what my point is.
Okay, thank you. I see a question about the presentation slides.
Mm-hmm.
So just to note again that this video will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. So you will have a chance to review or revisit this recording on YouTube channel. And
I have also a general answer because everybody asked me about the slides. So my answer is always the same for every presentation that I make. For any of the slides that you saw today, if you have really, you really want to have, say, no more than 10 slides, I'll be glad to send you any of the slides in no particular order or anything, okay? But don't ask me to send you the whole presentation because that's an intellectual, my private IP. It took me probably several months to put together my 60 slides, okay? And that don't exist anywhere, okay? So that's my own personal property. But because of the source, it comes from the internet as well. I mean, nothing that you saw today, you cannot find it yourself, but it's going to take you a long time to find it. So I'd be glad to send it to you, but don't ask me for the 60 slides. I'd be glad to send you 5 slides or 7 slides. If you remember what are the slides that you like, I'd be glad to send you a version of the slides, the slides, okay? But just don't ask me for more than, say, 10 slides. Let me just throw a number, okay?
Thank you. Definitely appreciation of your efforts. It's for everyone, and also respect to private intellectual. That's very important. So Dr. William Call, if we have time, can we go on more questions?
Yes. I have at least a time till let's say just say till 8 o'clock. So if we have the Zoom time, I mean, they allow us to go and extend it. I'll be glad to answer any questions that people have because This is one thing that if you're not in a live, presentation, it's hard to interact still, okay? But we want to give everybody opportunity to ask their questions.
Okay, so the next question is, what is your proposal for every country people to get enrolled without creation of further polarization?
Well, actually, the answer is pretty simple. There's no, just like we all free to do whatever we want, okay? We all know that the society has rules and has laws, okay? So as long as what you want to do, it does not infringe on somebody else, you can do it, So right now, for example, it's a very clear example. If you look at the internet, it's a very clear example. The internet started in the United States, okay? But look at how many Chinese entrepreneurs made money, including Ma Yun, okay, and Tencent, and so on. They all made money out of the internet. So nobody is going to curtail you from doing something, okay? As long as you yourself do not violate the law, you can do things that you want, okay? And other people can also do things that they want, as long as they don't infringe on your choices or your freedom. Okay, so we live in a world that you can do, as long as you don't violate the laws, you can do it. And then other people can do it, because so it's an equal opportunity thing, right? Everybody can do it. And whoever gets there first, or whoever has the best idea and the quickest idea, they win.
Okay, let me scroll up again, find the question. So the question is, how will all the data in the metaverse be handled?
You know what? Let me answer the question with another question. Okay, for the person who asked it. What do you think that as an opportunity for you? So maybe you can found a company to say, well, maybe I can find a database or a repository so that I can collect the data. Okay. Now, the thing is not easy, because everybody's trying to protect their own data. Even today, without the metaverse, like information on my own bank account, everybody has a password. Everybody has a password and account. And not many people want to share their privacy, right, and security. Right now, those are topics that even in the real world, these are hot topics on the internet. Is that how do you handle security and privacy? So the same thing goes in the metaverse. In the other world, in the virtual world, it has exactly the same challenge, okay? So I don't have an answer today. I'm already retired, unfortunately. So I'm not trying to make the next $1 million or the next several $1 million. But maybe it's an opportunity for the viewer. Okay, so that's why I say in one of my slides, I don't know where I was explicit enough, okay? Think about the metaverse as another copy of our current world. So everything that exists in our current world, you can make the same thing in the metaverse or in the alternate virtual world. So it's an opportunity. So people right now today, as I mentioned, they're already selling land and property of New York City in the metaverse. Okay, so the opportunities are limitless. Okay, there are other people, for example, okay, let's talk about art, for example. That's people have already heard about NFTs, right? And non-fungible tokens. Well, so people like, for instance, Leonardo da Vinci created the Mona Lisa, right? There's only one copy of the Mona Lisa exists in the Louvre, okay? But guess what? You can create your piece of art in the metaverse and you get a patent. You get an IP that says that belongs to you, okay? And as a matter of fact, there are some pictures on the metaverse that I have already sold for, I don't know, even over $1 million, if I'm not mistaken. I think there's one picture that is already in the internet. People, actually bought it already. So there's a million ways to make money. Okay, so you just need to be creative and find ways. So that's why I was very also excited to make the presentation today, because two things that are valid today. We're only at the starting point. So it's not like you already have everything is already taken. Okay, so you're already too late at the party. That's very a little bit sad, right? So the thing is that we're just at the beginning, and everything is game. So there are a million ways to make money. Well, you can make money in the real world as well, right? You can make money. You can make money out of real estate in the real world, and you can also make money out of real estate in the virtual world. So the good news is that now there's another world that just opened. And so if you're too late in the physical world, maybe you can take advantage in the virtual world. That's the message. So I always give it a more positive spin.
Okay, thank you. Next question is, do I need to provide real personal identifiable information to have an avatar, or can I create a fake profile? I care about my privacy and would rather not to offer personal identifiable information. Thank you.
I think that your avatar is your own creation. Okay, so if you don't want to disclose your own personal data, you can create if you're a lady, you can create a Wonder Woman and let that be your avatar. Okay, as I mentioned in my presentation, there's no limit on what your avatar looks like. It could be, Miss Universe. Okay, you can be the prettiest girl. Okay, and also not only that, but it's also the smartest girl, and you can fly and you can do whatever you want. Okay, so it's up to you. The avatar belongs only to you. And the other thing that I think, to answer one of the previous questions, is that the idea is that you can use the same avatar that you identified. So this is going to be the avatar that represents me in the metaverse. Okay, hopefully you use the same avatar in other platforms. When you buy a shoe, it's your avatar. When you go and buy or you go and open a bank account in your metaverse, is also the same person. You're not going to create 5 different versions of you, and then you become confused yourself. Okay, so hopefully there's only one you. Okay, but what the capabilities of that you is up to you to determine. You can say, well, I can fly. Like, for instance, if you're designing a house, for instance, in the real world, you can go and be an architect and design a house. Well, the house in the real world has to obey the laws of physics. Okay, so it's always on the ground. It cannot be like inverted or whatever. But in the metaverse, you don't need to follow the laws of the physics. Okay, think about it. So your metaverse, your avatar can also fly, just like Superman. Okay, if you want to. Okay, so think about it. So there's a lot of really opportunities, and there are a lot of constraints that will be removed in the metaverse compared to or in the virtual world compared to the real world. In the physical world, we cannot fly because we're bound by the law of gravity. Okay, but if you're in the virtual universe, you can go and fly. You can go so in the virtual universe, you can go from today, right now you're in your house, the next minute you can go into the Himalayas. Okay, well, you cannot do that physically in your physical world. So I mentioned, like, for instance, you can go and do a tour. You say, okay, right now I want to go and visit Greece. Okay, so you go into the metaverse, you log into some application and you say, okay, give me a tour of Greece, and you can go into the museum. And then you can have VR and AR show you every display in that museum in Greece. Okay, without you leaving your home. So your physical self is still here in Silicon Valley, but your avatar can go to Greece and be there into the museum. So that's the thing that's different. I think I need to create a science fiction myself, because the more I talk about it, I think I can maybe write a book. I can create a sci-fi book, #2, called the Snow, what was the Snow something? What was the name of the book? Snow Crash?
Snow Crash.
Snow Crash #2, or Snow Crash continuation of that story. And then you can let your imagination run wild, right?
Maybe you can write about the Metaverse 2.0.
That's right. That's right. Oh, by the way, I don't know where people know, I've actually written 12 books. So,
Wow.
yeah, I've written 12 books. 9 of them in Chinese and 3 of them in English. Unfortunately, now the books are about technology. Mostly are on wisdom. One book on art, another book on dancing, on kung fu, 3 or 4 books on wisdom, and then also 3 books in English, 9 books in Chinese. Okay, any other questions?
Yes, I do see one last question.
Okay.
Can we do the following analogy? Companies have websites today. Tomorrow, they can build their 3D virtual world for their company.
Right.
People can visit their worlds. Like today, people can go from site to site through hyperlinks. Tomorrow, people can jump from one world to another.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. When we talk about the 3D version of the internet, is that today companies make sure that they have a website, right? So Intel has a website, CIE has a website, okay? Well, the next thing that's going to happen is that Intel and Apple and Google and those, they're going to have a metaverse thing in 3D. And maybe that's another thing for Brian, since I see Brian still online. He can think about creating a metaverse for CIE San Francisco. Okay, because that's the thing, is that today we have a CIE San Francisco website, right? That people who are interested in that, they can go to that one. Well, the next thing is that in the metaverse, and I said, like companies, that a lot of the big companies already started creating their companies, metaverse entry. As I mentioned already, Nike, Amazon, and lots of people who have the resources, they're already jumping in. They're not waiting. So, but that's exactly what it is. Is that today in our 2-dimensional world, they are currently our websites. They are in the form of websites. Well, in the metaverse, there will be, also an entry for either for yourself as a person, or for your business, or for your company.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm happy that that person got it. So actually, hearing my presentation, there's somebody who actually got the message very well. Very good. Congratulations. So any other questions? We're almost hitting 8 o'clock, so
Yeah.
by the way, if there are some people who are interested in writing an email, I'll be also glad to answer some of the questions. I can take some of the questions, just via email as well. My email, by the way, is B as in Bill, BKAO, the number 2 and K, because I used this email in the year 2000. bgao2k@yahoo.com is my email. So since I'm retired, I do have some time to exchange some of your thoughts. I'll be glad to answer the things that I understand, or give you my view of things. They're not necessarily the correct ones, but they are representing my personal opinion.
Okay, another question. Where can I buy your book about art?
None of my books are for sale, unfortunately, because I wrote the books. By the way, the book on art is called Fantastic Art. That's the name of the book. And because personally, I like comic books and I like about all kinds of art. So I wrote a book. That's the only book that's in color. But I only printed about, I think, 10 copies of that book. None of my books are for sale because my intention is not to make money out of the books. I just wrote because I decided to put down on paper, my thoughts. So a lot of books are more on wisdom, from the old ages to the modern era, from China to the Western world, from old times to modern times. But I only give it to friends and relatives. Now the books are for sale. Unfortunately, you cannot get it. A lot of people actually ask me and say, well, if you want to, I can sell your book in China. I can sell you probably at least 100,000 copies of it. But my intent is not to make money. I don't want to create a lot of issues, because if I publish the book and people get to it and then they're paying money for it, they say, well, I don't agree with your view. So right now, my book, the people who have it, they have not cost them 1 single cent. It's not 1 single penny. So they're all just as a gift. Yeah.
Wow, those people are so lucky.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know. Well, actually, in my last book, I have a picture of all the covers of all the books. Well, let me just give you some of the titles, for example. My first book was in Chinese. It's called 新道德经, because I like the Tao, the philosophy about nature. So that's a modern version of the Tao Te Ching. My last book, my 12th book, guess what it is on? Some of you can guess it. It's actually on the year 2020. I had already stopped writing. My last 2 books that I really am proud of. I wrote 2 books. They are called Ren, just like people, So the first one is called 天地人道之人. That's the first book on Ren, just the people. The second one is called 古今中外 the Ren. Okay, so the first one is on the individuals, and the second one is on humankind. So after those 2 books, I say, I already stopped. I'm not writing any more books. And then 2020 came about and COVID came about. So I was at home saying, well, since I cannot go out, let me just write one final book. So my last book is titled 2020. Year 2020 was my last book. Yeah.
Don't say the last one. Maybe you will write more.
Okay.
Yeah, Dr. William Cao, I don't see more questions. I do see many people say thank you in the chat.
Yeah, I want to thank all the people who signed into the webinar. Also want to thank Yansu and his team for handling all the Zoom and all the logistics for me. I really appreciate it, and I want to thank them. So thank you, everyone, and hopefully, if you're interested, tune into my next talk, it may be in April. I'm going to talk about satellite, constellation of satellites, talk about space, the final frontier.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you again. Thank everyone for joining this webinar today. Thank you so much. So I will end this Zoom meeting.
Okay,
thank you. See you next time.
Thank you, Yansu. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah,
bye, all the people from CIE, Brian, and so on. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. Bye.